What's up, everybody? It is Damon back again, and this time I am joined by my friend Ethan. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry if
Yeah.
you all went deaf because of that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We're going to be starting something new on the channel today where we talk about all of the Marvel movies that are out. And we're not just going to be talking about the main MCU movies, like from Iron Man to whatever the fuck the new movie is now, Thor. We're going to be going over, like, all of them. Like, well, not the shitty ones, but, well, some shitty ones. But not the early 2000 stuff. We're going to be doing, like, X-Men, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and on top of that, all like the amazing Morbius movie.
Of course.
So, the earliest one in the timeline is X-Men, because that came out in 2000. The date escapes me, but it comes out in 2000. So technically, it's the first big Marvel movie.
Yes.
So we decided to start there, and we're going to be doing all the movies, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. This one was certainly an experience.
A short one.
A very short experience, but so we're just going to be going through the movie itself, going over like, okay, so quickly, this is the plot. Then we're going to go over what we liked, what we were mixed upon, and what we fucking hated. So, yeah. So, introduce yourself, Ethan.
Well, hi. I'm Ethan. There we go.
There we go. Alright, cool. Alright, so, X-Men. The plot. Very small plot. Not a lot happened in this movie. Basically, it's about mutants. Mutants just are among us.
Ooh.
They have powers. They all have different powers. Everyone's racist towards them because they're, I don't fucking know, because they're different, I guess. And then there's Magneto, who is like the king of evil mutants, I guess. And he wants to, for some reason, turn every normal person into a mutant. And that's the plot.
Yeah, that won't end badly. No.
No, it won't.
Not at all.
No, and we have Professor X's X-Men going against him. And that's that's it.
Yep. Basically it.
Yeah.
So this movie is definitely a product of its time. When we watched it together, I swear to God, the movie was like 20 minutes long. It was very short compared to what every other movie is. So I was like, oh my God.
Well, they had to start somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
So definitely a product of its time. I don't want to judge it too harshly because it's like the first Marvel movie technically. But still, in like today's day and age, it's not something I would.
Yeah, it's
Go
not
back
the
and
most
rewatch.
impressive one.
No, definitely not. All right, so I think we should just like alternate for our positives. So we don't have that many. All right, so my first positive is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yes.
I think he does a pretty good job as starting out.
Yeah, I mean it's the first one, so just getting into the role. So you know.
Like he's definitely acting the best that he can. It's funny because like I'm trying to watch this without having any of the future knowledge
Yeah.
and shit. Because I'm like, he's awesome, but in this movie, he's just like there. Like he still does a good job. It's funny because like in the later ones, he's so fucking jacked.
Yeah.
And this one, he's like, he's a little plump.
He definitely gets better in the future, but as a start, this one, he does a good job.
And I will say that the effects for him, I think, are really good. Like the claws, I think, look pretty nice for the time. A lot better than like later ones, which I think is funny. It's like, wait, how the hell? I don't even know.
Yeah, they went down, but they had a good start, and they just, plot, was a thing, I guess, but
Yeah, they tried to weave him into the plot in some way. I know that they tried to like be like, oh, who's Magneto going for?
Yeah.
Wolverine or Rogue? And like, I didn't even notice until like later on. He's like, oh, I'm not looking for you. I'm looking for her. It's like, oh, was that a plot point we were going for?
they don't really explain their plans at all.
No.
But in the movie, he's fine. I'd say he's pretty good. Like, he's definitely like the main thing. I'd say everyone pretty much watches X-Men for. So in this one especially. So he's good. All right, what is your first positive?
That's a good question. Is there a positive? We'll find out. No.
No. Okay. I will just go through my positives. Alright, so my next positive is Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I'd say that Professor X is definitely, like, the main character besides Wolverine in this one.
Yeah, I mean, they really do it's really hard to figure out who's the main character really in this one, because you're following Rogue, and then, like, the end half, she's not even in it until the very end, and then Professor X is, like, taken out halfway through, and then really you're following Wolverine, but other than that, yeah, there's no main character.
Because it pretty much, like, it focuses on Wolverine and Professor X in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then he just, like, has, like, a brain aneurysm, like, halfway through. So it's like, oh, alright. But I will say he does a very, very good acting job. Like, when I think of Professor X, I don't think of anyone else but him. No. So it's like...
Yeah, he's definitely Professor X. With the Cerebro thing, where when he gets taken out, how? I don't get it. It unexplained liquid. Yeah. Great.
That was funny.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll get to that for the mix, because that I was like,
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I think he did a good job. And then the next one is Magneto, Ian McKellen. Fantastic job.
Oh, yeah.
The acting is very, very good for him. It's nice to see him as, like, a villain, because everyone knows him from, like, Lord of the Rings. But this was before Lord of the Rings, so it's like, oh, I knew him as, like, the bad guy before. So.
No, I just realized that I did not know that he was Gandalf. Now I know.
You didn't know?
No, I did not.
Really?
No. They look so different. No clue.
Yeah,
now I know. Oh boy.
Well, yeah, now you know.
Yup.
So I think he's a lot better as a villain than he's a hero,
he is.
in my opinion. He is good. The thing is, I'll get more into it later. His plan is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's so dumb, but he does a good job with what he's given. And then my next one, this one's like, it's very fucking minute. Something I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It was like in the very beginning when Jean Grey was like, oh yeah, racism.
Yes, of course.
Like, I think this series overall does a pretty good job of handling, like, racism and shit.
Yeah.
Because, like, in early 2000s especially, everyone was fucking racist.
Yeah.
Everyone was racist. So in this one, I think they did a pretty good job of tackling, like, racism. And I don't want to get too political here, of course. But I think a lot of, like, early 2000s, like, people could understand racism more because of X-Men. Because if you weren't, like a black kid, right, everyone's like, racism? What? Who cares? But, like, having, like, all these X-Men people you, as, like, a kid, think are, like, cool and shit. It's like, oh, yeah, I feel bad for them that they're subjugated.
Right.
And I think that from Future Sense, it made a lot of people around that era look at him more and being like, oh, yeah, maybe racism isn't cool and shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean...
It definitely shed some light on it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So I think it did a pretty good job of going into that. Even though they didn't really go into it that much, I think they put the idea in a lot of people's heads. So, I don't know. Shut up, Discord. Stop sending me shit. Alright, and then my last positive that I have is I think they did a good job with their powers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think who had the I really do like the fire and ice powers. I feel like they're really good at showing how they work, even though it was so brief.
Yeah.
They're still my two favorite powers.
Yeah, I wish Iceman was in this movie more,
Yeah.
but, like, I think he used his powers, like, twice. But he still he still was pretty cool when it showed off. Like, I think the effects, some of them have aged. Like when Wolverine did that spin on the Statue of Liberty, that was something.
Yeah, definitely early 2000s effects.
Yeah.
But they do get better, and they do a really good job at showing it in this movie.
Yeah, like I think Cyclops' laser looked really good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Storm's powers are really cool. Jean Grey, did she even use her powers in this
No,
movie?
she used Cerebro and then fucking fell over.
Yeah.
So that's all we saw of that.
Yeah.
But Oh no, she did levitate something.
Oh wow.
But-
Oh yeah, when she was like fucking grab a syringe.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know. Well, besides that, like I think Toad's powers, like,
Oh yeah.
well, we're going to him in the negatives, but I think his powers, like, they did a good
Yeah,
job
they
showing it.
definitely did a really good on effects with him,
Yeah.
with the tongue and everything.
Like, I will say, like, some stuff did look a little fake, but for the most part, for,
Mhm.
like, these mutants, I think, didn't have, like, the super, ultra, like,
Right,
godlike
yeah.
powers yet. So, like, it seems grounded,
Mhm.
so I think it fits this movie a lot.
yeah.
Because, like, you can definitely take these characters and put them in a movie and make it look real to a degree. So, it's like, I
Yeah.
think they did a good job selecting
Mhm.
the team for it.
I do have one positive. They did a really good job with the guy who turned into water. Yeah, that I really liked. I found it very funny when he just exploded on the table. But
That was
Yeah.
funny.
yeah, I feel like they did really good with those effects too.
Mhm.
It seemed pretty seamless. I mean, you could still tell it was 2000s graphics, but it was still pretty good.
But, yeah, so that's all my positives for the movie.
Yeah.
Definitely a product of its time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so did you have any mixed or just pure negative?
Any mixed. I did like Wolverine. Like his powers, they did seem weak, but obviously it was like his first movie.
Yeah.
Like he's getting his memories back and stuff. So I mean, he doesn't know how to use his powers fully, but he does seem pretty weak, which I kind of felt was dumb. Like he gets knocked out too easily.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, it's for a guy who has regenerative powers, you'd think, you know, oh, he'll get right back up. No, he just lays there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, they did really good with Wolverine, but that was my one issue with it.
Yeah, they made him too weak.
Yeah.
Especially when he was fighting Mystique, it's like, bro, you can't.
You can yeah, it's Mystique. All she does is shapeshift. I mean, there's not much to fight against there.
Yeah. Alright. So, my first mixed is all the other X-Men. Cyclops. I love James Marsden.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a good actor.
Yeah.
He does fucking nothing.
He's just like, stay away from my girl.
Yeah,
That's it.
legit.
That's
All he
it.
does is be like, yo, Wolverine, don't touch her.
Don't
And then
do
Wolverine
it.
just fucking pisses on him.
He really does.
So it's like, he's like nothing.
Yeah.
And what I think is whack is that I don't read comics. I'm not like
No.
a comic guy. But I watch a little bit of like the 90s show as a kid. And I know that Cyclops supposed to be like the fucking leader of the X-Men. He's like
Yeah.
a cool guy.
Yeah, I have seen some things about. I don't really go into comics that much either, but I do know that he is the leader, and it just felt like he was pushed to the back, kind of. They just wanted to focus on Wolverine, which, I mean, it's titled X-Men, not Wolverine.
Yeah,
So what
exactly.
really I think they should have done is had Cyclops not be as weak as he was,
Yeah.
and like pushed him more to the front, give him more of a leader role
Yeah.
instead of, you know, just sit in the background.
Yeah.
So they could have done better with that, but you know.
All the other X-Men too, like Jean is my least favorite out of everyone in this movie. Because, like we said earlier, she does nothing. Like, all
Yeah.
she does is just stand there. If she got, like, taken up by fucking Toad, of all people, so it's like, bruh, come on.
She just spits in your face and then you're done.
Yeah.
Like, I think she only had, like, a few lines in general,
Yeah.
besides that opening. And that was just Wolverine being like, yo, I want to fuck you.
Yeah.
Even though I just met you, like, 5 minutes ago. And it was like, alright. And then Storm, she, like, I think you and I were like,
Yeah.
yo, did she even say anything at all?
No, she like halfway through she got her first line,
Yeah.
and then when the water guy died, she just screamed and ran away. I'm like, great.
Yeah, I was like, that's Storm. That's Storm. Yeah. Oh, but she does have the best line in this movie. It was, what was it? How'd she say it? Oh, have you ever, like, heard what happens when a toad gets struck by lightning? The same that happens to everything else, and that was funny. But it's like, oh,
Great.
okay.
Oh my
Yep,
God.
you really showed him there.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, like you were saying earlier, like, the thing about what I don't like, I don't hate it
Mm-hmm.
because I still like the actors,
Yeah.
except for Jean, but I still like the actors. But this movie isn't called Wolverine.
Right.
It's called X-Men. So having it really focus on like two of the X-Men, really,
Yeah.
like Professor X and Wolverine, it's like, I think it would have. I don't want to say it would have benefited from a TV show because they already had a TV
Right.
show out, but I feel like they could have done a better job having everybody play a role.
Yeah, if they had focused it on more of as a team instead of each individual going off and doing their own thing,
Yeah.
I think it could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Plus adding, more plot details so we didn't get lost. But if they had done it as a team, you could have seen more action, more like they could have been stronger.
Yeah,
Is what I'm saying. And I mean, I guess it follows the point of their goal of the movie, but it's not
Not that entertaining
Right.
to watch. So, yeah, I get it. So my next mix is Rogue.
Mhm.
Rogue, I think the actress does somewhat of a good job with what she's
Yeah.
doing.
She screams way too much, and
Yeah.
it's a terrible scream.
Yeah.
But she does do what Rogue. I don't know much about Rogue, but in the movie, she did a really good job, from
Yeah.
what I know.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think like my problem with her in this movie is that she's not a character. She's kind of like a
Right.
plot device. Or
Yeah.
Like Magneto's just going for her. He's like, oh yeah, I need you to fucking turn everyone into
Yeah.
mutants.
How does he know about her? We don't know,
Right.
but she just learned her powers and then she ran away.
Yep.
Great. How?
Yeah.
And then his brotherhood was like, yo, we're here for her. It's like, what the fuck? Okay. But, like, I think she's, like, because she's, like, the main person in the movie, really?
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't really do much. So that's why, like, when we were talking about earlier, like, the main character is Wolverine, Professor
Mhm.
X. Technically, Rogue is also a
Yeah.
main character,
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, we start with her and then kind of follow her throughout the whole movie. Although she doesn't do much,
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
still like following her throughout the movie, and then that's what drives them to go stop him. But realistically, she's just there for plot, like
Yeah.
you said. But
And that's what kind of sucks. 'Cause she can't even use her powers that much
Right.
either.
you don't get to see it. She just takes Wolverine's powers twice,
Yeah.
and you don't even get to. Did we get to see her take Magneto's power? I can't remember.
No,
No.
we didn't.
Yeah,
Which
see,
is
see?
funny.
No, we didn't. So she really only uses her powers 3 times.
Yeah, and that was like just a killer boyfriend in the beginning, and then,
Yeah.
and then the regenerate, and that was
Yeah.
it. That would have been cool if she could like make claws or something, but
Yeah,
no.
no.
So it's kind of a wasted opportunity with her. Like and it sucks. Is honestly, from what I remember, this is like the only movie where she really
Really?
like does anything. Like she's in the next one, but she doesn't really do much.
Oh.
And then the third one, she's like
I don't.
barely in
I
it.
haven't. From my experience, I haven't seen much of the X-Men movies. I've only seen a few of them scattered out.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, I haven't seen her do much.
Yeah,
So
and
That's what sucks. Is this she doesn't do anything in this movie
Right.
really, and this is like all she does in the rest
Yeah.
of the series. So it's kind of like that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I can remember is like Days of Future Past, but that's like the extended edition. That's not even like in the actual movie. So it's like I feel bad because I think the actress is a good actress,
yeah,
but they don't give her like anything to do.
right.
So
Yeah.
it sucks. But next I think is Mystique is my mix. Is that she's I think the only reason I have her in mix and not in negative is because I like Mystique, and
Yeah.
later on in the series, I think she gets better and better as the
yeah,
movies
she
go
does.
on.
One thing is she doesn't have much of a character.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
She's just there for her powers. She doesn't have lines or anything. Well, she has lines,
has,
but
like,
not
2
enough.
things.
Not enough for her to be an actual character.
Yeah.
They just use her as a tool,
Mhm.
and she's not in there as much as you'd like to see.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, she did a good job for what she was tasked with
Oh,
doing.
Yeah, definitely. Like she definitely is not a bad Mystique, and she
No.
looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the makeup, like holy
yeah.
shit, that was really cool. So like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like this, like later on in the series, like I think like the best like Who plays her later? I forget her name.
No clue.
The Hunger Games chick.
Yeah,
the Hunger
yeah.
Games chick who plays her.
Yeah.
I think the makeup looks good in Days of Future Past, but I think like the best look for Mystique is in these early movies.
Oh yeah.
So I think like they did a really good job with
Yeah.
how she looked. But the thing is,
I'm pretty
her
sure.
powers are shapeshifting, so
Yeah.
you don't really see her
Yeah.
like that all the time.
Yeah.
One thing with the makeup, I'm pretty sure is if I haven't seen much of the other X-Men, but if I'm guessing that the makeup takes way too long to do and it's way too
Yeah.
difficult, so they had to
I
you know
think-
scale it down.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, that's her name.
Yeah.
I've seen some things where like she hated the makeup process, so I think that's why
Well,
they made
Yeah, I mean, I would too.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
it's
But-
full body makeup,
Yeah.
so
So I think they made it like look less and less.
Yeah.
But the problem is with that it looks like shit later
Yeah.
on. And the only times I think it actually looks like shit are like First Class and Dark Phoenix. We'll get to
Oh,
those
yeah.
later. But I think those look really bad. But
Yeah.
like in these ones, like she looks the same in all three of the movies. So I think they did a really, really
Yeah.
good job with her. Not for character wise, but looks. I think
Yeah.
she's cool. She does more in the next one,
Mm.
and that's pretty much it. But I think
No.
she's like mixed in this one because it's like
Yeah.
oh well for this actress. I mean.
Yeah.
Like later Jennifer Lawrence does a lot later because she's like a main character.
Yeah.
But in these movies, I think Rebecca Romaine does a good job with what she's done.
Right.
But I just wish she could have done more.
yeah. There could have been a lot more scenes with her if they fleshed out her character more, but they didn't. They just used her for what they needed her for. So you got her powers, but not much of her
Yeah,
character.
Exactly. And even when she was fighting Wolverine, I remember
Yeah.
like she had the claws, and then Wolverine cut off the claws, and it's like, so
Huh.
what was that?
Yeah.
Was that like her fingers? Like
What
what?
she-
What he cut off?
Yeah, I know.
Because she was like ah.
Yeah, she screamed,
Yeah.
like, but we don't see that
Yeah,
again.
it's like-
So when she morphed back, what did the claws on the ground morph into? It's like what the fuck?
Nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that's all I have for mixed, pretty much. So I think we can move into negatives.
Yeah.
Unless you have any more.
Not really. I mean, other than we talked about Cyclops, Storm. Did we talk about Storm?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I think is, again, they didn't really show her as the more powerful. Like, she definitely could have been stronger, but
Yeah.
they did show her as much weaker in the movie.
She was having a tough time against Toad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like the one time we get to really see her powers is when she zaps Toad away.
Yeah, that was pretty much
Yeah.
it.
But other than that, no, I don't. I think that's all for me on mixed.
All right, cool. So now negatives. All right.
Oh boy,
So
oh
my
boy.
first negative, the plot is fucking bad.
Really?
The plot is so bad.
Yeah.
So
No, we don't know what Magneto's planning until the very end.
Yeah.
We don't even the converter is not even explained.
No,
we
it's
just
where did he get it? How did he make it? How did he know it would work? Like what?
we just all we see is spinny things and white goop.
Yeah.
And then like the first time we see it, that's all we see. We don't we were watching him like what just happened?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like God works too slowly or whatever, and then he just gooped on him. And then we're like huh?
Yeah,
It's done? What just happened? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Me neither. It's like
Ugh.
he just randomly is like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna use my magnetism to make him like, what the fuck?
Magnet goop.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
So stupid.
Because when you think about it, Magneto's powers, from what I know, is just magnets.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Exactly.
So I mean, I guess he's also he helped build Cerebro, so we know he knows what he's doing,
Yeah.
but it's not
For something like
explained.
this,
It's like, whoa, this is a big step from
yeah.
Cerebro.
How did this happen?
Yeah,
Like,
I
how'd
don't-
you
I don't
make
know.
it? And then one thing I also wanted, my other question was, why did it fail? Like,
Yeah, I know.
and then it's not explained.
No.
Like, I mean, he knows it failed, and then he still wants to convert everyone.
Yeah, I think he's like, oh, maybe Rogue can help. Because if she takes my powers,
Yeah.
even though my powers didn't
Didn't
work,
Great.
maybe it'll work. It's like you're.
And also,
Fuck
it
it.
kills him.
Yeah.
So why are you
Yeah,
doing?
and that's
But I mean, because the problem is like, we know he's in the wrong. We know
Yeah.
what he's doing is bad, and
Yeah.
he'll kill everybody. And the X-Men are like, oh, we gotta stop him before he kills himself and everybody.
Right.
But Magneto's not a fucking idiot. So it's like you'd think once they said, hey, Senator Kelly's dead,
Yeah, he's not
he'd be
gonna-
like, oh. But I mean, I kind of get it because he hates humanity.
Right.
So maybe he wants them all to
Right.
die.
I think what he's trying to do is show them, like, what side he's coming from.
Yeah.
Like, give them powers and see how they are treated
Yeah.
because of the way they're treating mutants.
Yeah.
But if you end up killing them in the end, then it doesn't work.
And plus,
But-
it really shows like, oh, that's so you are a monster.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
proving them right.
Yeah.
So it's really hard because I get that the whole main plot is like, oh yeah, one's has a lot of good points and another has a
Yeah.
lot of good points, but they're both kind of wrong.
Yeah.
But this one, it's like, okay, he's 100% fucking wrong. And
Yeah.
so it's like I get what he's going for with the racism, like I said
Yeah.
earlier, but like,
He's not going about it the
No.
right way.
no, he's not. So
No,
it's really dumb.
His plan is kill everyone.
Yeah.
And show them we're not monsters by killing them.
Yeah, it's like
Okay, good plan. But you know that doesn't work. But yeah, I just don't. I wish it was explained more why it went wrong and how it was made.
Yeah, exactly.
And I tried looking into it, and I don't even think it's a comic book thing. I think it's
Really?
just a movie thing,
That's
which I
right.
thought was cool. Like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, they're doing like an original
Yeah.
thing, but they didn't do it right. They
Yeah.
didn't explain how it worked or what happened with it. And the other thing with the Cerebro poison, they don't explain that at all.
Yeah, I was gonna get
He-
to
he
that.
just- They like, oh, put this thing in there and take him out. Great. What is it?
Yeah, exactly.
What does it do?
Because like I was gonna go into that. Like, Professor X,
Yeah.
like write him out of the movie.
Yeah.
And I know why, because he's too powerful.
Yeah.
And that's something that's a problem with the later movies too.
Yeah.
Is that he's too powerful.
Mhm.
Where like he can legit just do this and then they're dead. So
Yeah.
it's like, no, it's kinda hard.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't really work there,
No.
bud.
So that's what they have to do. Is like, okay, we gotta find a way to write him out of the movie.
Yeah.
But the way they did it in this one is really fucking
Yeah, they
stupid.
didn't do it very well.
No, they're like, okay, let's put this green
Green
stuff. this-
Yeah, and then they fixed it way too easily. Like,
Yeah.
if it was put into the machine, it's like flowing through the machine
Yeah,
right now.
it's like
You can't
they-
just swap
yeah.
it out and it'll be fine.
Like-
Yeah, and plus it's not. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, so he put it on his head. It's not like it goes into his fucking brain
No,
or anything. It's
they're
like
not-
he uses his powers internally, so it's
Yeah.
not like. So it's like, bro, if the goop got in his head, it'd be like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like, every chance all he do. So it's like, how is he like, oh god.
Right, yeah, he just passes out.
Yeah.
Like, hmm.
And I swear to God, like I like blinked twice, and I was like, oh, he's gone. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and then we see him shirtless on a table.
Oh, that was he has a lot of chest hair. Like, holy shit.
Got a forest on there,
Yeah,
but
That was funny. That's not a negative.
no, not at all.
But that was weird.
Yeah,
Like the
it
whole
really
thing
was.
with him. It's like,
Is the one thing that I wish they did better in this movie is explaining things.
Yeah.
They could have definitely made it longer, and it would have benefited it
Yeah.
like a lot.
yeah, that's the next negative. Is that this
Yeah.
movie is so fucking short.
Way too short.
Yeah.
Like we watched it, and I think we said already, but like I swear to God, it felt like 20 minutes to a
20 minutes,
half-hour movie, and like it was like, oh my God, is it already almost done?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how long it actually. I'm gonna look it up real quick. How long it actually is.
Really, like the way it felt rushed. Like they were pushing in the characters. Like, oh, this character does this. This character does this. They didn't like weave them into the story. They just shoved them in just to make it. I feel like I don't know if they want how they wanted it to go, but I almost guarantee it didn't go the way they
Yeah.
wanted, because it was way too short. They didn't explain anything, and they really all they did was shove characters in there and hope they work.
Yeah.
Because they didn't flesh it out. Like, oh, she ran away from home. Now she's like the most wanted mutant.
Yeah.
So
It's like, oh, that was fast. So the movie's an hour and 44 minutes.
really, yeah, it definitely
Does not
not feel
feel
like
like
that.
it.
No,
And
no.
I mean, again, I want to say that is a negative, because it is a negative.
Mhm.
It should be
Yeah.
longer. But I will say it is a good thing that it feels so short,
Yeah.
because like it would suck if it felt like an hour
Yeah,
44
and
and
then
it was bad.
Yeah, we
Like
don't
that
want
one.
Morbius.
No,
No.
no.
Just ignore that more, and it's Morbin time shirt right now. But seriously, like it needed to be longer.
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
too much
Yeah.
stuff.
One thing, I don't know how long the other ones are, but I'm guessing they're much longer, and then they actually have a plot to follow.
Yeah.
They're not rushing it. They actually flesh it out.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I really like about movies is that they go into detail.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm just gonna go off onto the Marvel shows now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing is they rush it. 6 episodes is not enough time to build a character and like get an actual plot in. Like, sorry if I'm spoiling Miss Marvel right now, but what happened? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, bad guy died. Great.
Yeah.
Now what's gonna happen in the last episode? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they have, they're trying to put things that should be movies into shows, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But back to X-Men.
No, I know where you're going with.
Yeah, they just need to take the time to, fill in the blanks that they don't, like they're glossing over things that they need for the story to work.
Exactly. And the thing is that in X-Men 2 is really good from what I remember. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember watching it and really liking it. It does a lot better of a job, I know, like fleshing out some characters. Others, Cyclops, it doesn't do shit. So, like, my problem with these movies in general is that, like, there's really only 3 with, like, the main cast of this movie, which sucks. Because going into, like, the MCU shit, Avengers, they each have, like, their own trilogies to set up each other, and then Avengers. So, like, it doesn't feel like it's rushed.
Right.
Like, if it started with Avengers, I don't think that would be good. Because I'd be like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, okay,
I mean,
why should I care?
Hey, a comic book character.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, and later down the line, they tried to do that a little bit by, like, making X-Men Origins Wolverine. But we all know how that fucking turned out. So it's like, I think it would have benefited them a little bit more to go in the route of, like, Marvel, like, the main Marvel Avengers shit, to, like, have, like, oh, maybe we could do, like, a Wolverine movie first, then a Cyclops movie, and then shit like that. I don't know how well that would work, but I think it would do a lot better.
I don't know how, like, back in that time, I don't know if they would, like, I don't know how marketing works to begin with, but I don't know how it would catch on. Like, I mean, it was the, like, first one from what I know. First movie. So they were trying something new. Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, for the first movie, it was good for the first movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't fault it for it or anything.
No. They introduce the characters, they introduce their powers, and then they move on to, like, they show what they can do, and then they move on to the next one, which is better.
Yeah, definitely.
They learned from what the first movie did wrong and didn't do.
Yep.
And then they put it into the next movie.
Yeah, and then the third one they just fuck it off. But, like, and that's the thing. A negative of this is like, there's only 2 really movies that are good. Again, this one I wouldn't call a good movie, but it's not, I could watch it again and not be miserable. But it sucks because these are, like, the only 2 where you get this cast all together, really. And that's what sucks. It's like, okay, again, Rogue. She doesn't really do anything in this movie. I still like her, but she doesn't do anything, and then she does fucking nothing the rest of the series, so it's like, that sucks.
And from what I know in, like, the comic book world, which is very little again, but I'm pretty sure she's a much bigger character than that.
In the 90s show, she was, like, a main character, and she could do a lot more. I don't know a lot, but from what I know is that she grabbed onto Captain Marvel and held onto her for so long that, like, she actually, like, inherited some of her powers. I don't know how that works, but in the show, that's why she could fly and shoot shit. Oh, yeah. So, that's cool. I mean, you can't really do that now, because they don't have the rights to Captain Marvel, I'd assume. But it's just, like, if I had, like, grown up watching the show, because I only watched a few episodes, and watch all of it.
I haven't watched any of it.
If I had grown up watching it and then watched this, I don't think I would have liked it very much, because, like,
because they had, in the 90s, I know they had, like, a good thing going with the cartoon and everything. And if you were to go, like, into a fully fleshed out thing, into this brand new thing where they're taking, it's the live action, so they can't do as much. They're taking it and dumbing these characters down. It would be a real real punch in the gut for that. But from me not knowing from any of the past things, seeing this movie was a good start for me. One thing is the Avengers do much better is obviously, as you said, fleshing out the characters, but they also make the characters work together instead of having them clash the whole time. One thing that really works in movies is, good like chemistry between the characters.
Like that
carries
a movie.
Yeah, it really makes it flow. Like even if the characters are fighting, they still have good chemistry together. Exactly. They still work together. And the one thing that this movie did is they had they didn't weave the characters together. They had each individual character. They didn't have them linked in any way.
The only ones who really had a connection were Wolverine and Cyclops, and that was legit. It wasn't two-way. It was just Wolverine being like, "Hey, you're a pussy," and Cyclops being like, "Okay."
I know.
So that's really the only thing. And going back to the Marvel shows, I fucking hated Falcon and Winter Soldier, but those two had good chemistry together. So
that's the one thing that made me really like the show.
Yeah, exactly. I hated the show.
Yeah.
But the two worked really well together. So that made it a little bit more if they had no chemistry, it would be bottom. I would never watch it again. But in this one, it sucks because they're all likable people.
But they don't work well together.
Yeah, they don't work well together. So it's and again, even in the next one, some of them work together.
Right.
But that's the problem with these X-Men movies, is that it doesn't really feel like they're ever a team.
Yeah.
The prequel ones, like First Class and Days of Future Past, they feel like a team.
Right.
But in these ones, they never really accomplish it.
Which sucks is because they're the X-Men and they're supposed to be a team. Exactly. That's their whole thing. They are a big team of mutants, and then this one they're just people who want to do their own thing, but for the same common goal, and they don't really work well. So,
and even the people who have met each other already. Apparently, Professor X said that he grabbed Cyclops, Jean, and Storm years ago. Yeah. And grown up with him. Those three no. And Cyclops and Jean are supposed to be together.
I know.
And it's dude, you guys have less chemistry than me and my fucking sister. So it's that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah. They don't they barely have lines together either.
Yeah, the only time I can remember them talking is in the beginning, kind of, when he's like, "Hey, stay away from my girl."
Exactly.
And they weren't even talking. It was just her just walking by him. And then in the end, when he zapped the toad cum off of her face, that's all I can remember. So,
he helps and then runs away.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
I don't know. But yeah, the X-Men, main problem with the X-Men is that they're not the X-Men. Yeah. They're not together.
Yeah, and an argument could be made is oh, they're just forming it, but they're not though. They're just adding Wolverine. Yeah, that's the problem.
They're not formed. They are technically the X-Men already exist.
Yeah.
But it's just it doesn't feel like it is. So.
No.
And again, even as these movies go on, they don't feel like X-Men until the prequels. Mm-hmm. So it's just damn, it sucks because Avengers, it feels like Avengers. They all get together, they work extremely well together, and they feel like a team in every movie that they're in. Even in the first one, they they feel like a team. This one, it just feels like they took yeah, you over there, get your ass over here. And they're okay, I can do that.
Yeah, I feel like they had more X-Men on their original team, right? Mm-hmm. But they kind of pick and chose the ones they wanted to use, and it didn't work out too well.
Exactly. So I don't know. All right. So I think I have only one last negative, and that is every other villain besides Magneto. Fucking Sabretooth and Toad are the worst fucking villains ever.
The thing about Sabretooth is, it's okay when you think he just grunts, but then he actually talks, and you're like, wait a minute, this man talks? Come on now, this man has been grunting and growling this whole time, and then he has a line, and you're like, wait a minute.
It's so funny.
And he's so dumb, too.
But the fact that he opens his mouth and a tiger's roar comes out, that's so fucking funny.
And then he can talk normally.
What the
great.
Oh my god, he looks so fucking dumb. He looks so.
He's just got
Stupid.
wispy hair,
Yeah.
and he doesn't look aggressive.
No, he doesn't.
He just looks weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bad.
cool idea.
Mm.
They didn't do it very well.
No,
Again,
they didn't.
like this movie, they didn't
Yeah.
do it very well.
Yeah, it's like good stuff, very bad execution. And you still recording?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, what I think is funny, I don't know if you know this, but in X-Men Origins Wolverine, Sabretooth is like the main bad guy,
Is he really?
and he's Wolverine's brother.
Oh, come on now.
But it's
Wait
Mhm.
a minute. No. You can't do that. It didn't work.
Exactly. In this one, did they
Okay.
seem like they knew each
No,
other? Did
not-
they seem
not
like
one
brothers?
I mean, I get Wolverine didn't know him. He lost his memory,
Yeah.
but Sabretooth should
Exactly.
know.
And he looks completely different.
Oh, he does.
They could be two. In Origins Wolverine, he looks like a normal fucking guy. He doesn't roar like a lion. He doesn't grunt. He doesn't look like a fucking furry. He looks like a normal
just
guy.
brain damage.
Yeah,
That-
so
It's like in this one, it's like again, you'll learn that these X movies don't fucking connect
Oh,
that well. Very,
great.
but
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard,
Yeah, it's
but
really weird.
it's just funny because from future knowledge, it's like that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like this is supposed to be after that,
Yeah.
so what the actual fuck? I don't know. He is a dog shit antagonist.
yeah.
I mean, he's not like the main guy, but he's in it
No.
enough where it's like
He's-
he's a
At
threat.
this point, I mean, in this movie, he's really just a henchman.
Yeah.
He's the muscle of the
Yeah.
group, which is weird because
Yeah.
they all have powers, and he's not even the strongest one. I'm pretty sure Toad could beat him, and
Yeah,
that's
very
that's
easily.
saying something.
And going into Toad,
What is Toad? What is Toad?
just there, he eats a bird, and then Senator Kelly's like, ugh, that's nasty, and that's pretty much Toad.
Right there.
Bird?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
no
Like,
bird.
I don't fucking know. He's
He
just
he
there.
jumps. He has long tongue and he
Yeah.
has hard spit.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Like.
The Brotherhood of Mutants are awful villains. The
They really
only
are.
good one is Magneto, and even then, he doesn't do anything, and his plan is awful.
Yeah.
So like the villains, and we're gonna say this a lot for Marvel movies. Most of the villains suck.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There are a lot that are fantastic, but most of them are ass.
Yeah.
And I think one thing is that they try to do is make the villains beatable,
Yep.
which really takes away the value of them being a villain,
Yeah. Exactly.
because it just goes way down. Like their threat level, it's like, oh, we know you're gonna beat them.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Like, you have to have it, like, you have to be on the edge. You have to put the person watching on the edge of their seat
Yeah.
with the battle. You don't know who's going to win, who's
Yeah.
going to lose. And one thing that I always think about is losing isn't always the other team dying or complete loss.
Mhm.
It's just them having a setback and the other team, like, achieving their goal.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, if it's, think of it as like a war and a battle is what I like when watching a movie. I always thought like, oh, it's a war, not like a battle. Like, the thing is with movies these days is that they try to resolve the issue in one movie,
Mhm.
which
Yep.
takes away from the villain
Mhm.
being the villain.
Yep.
Like, you have no back and forth, you just have, oh, the heroes always win,
Yep.
which is a problem because then you just, in future movies, you just expect it,
Yeah,
and then the
exactly.
quality of the movie goes down.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go to Stranger Things for this.
Cool.
One thing I really loved about the end of season 4, spoilers, okay, is that they lost.
Yep.
And then, it felt like a loss, but not a total loss.
Yeah,
Like, they still have
exactly.
hope. I
Yep.
mean, people died, but they still have a chance to win.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is what I really loved about the end,
Mhm.
is that they didn't go for the heroes always win thing. And that made it so much better.
Definitely. And even like going to like Infinity War and stuff, they lost.
definitely.
And it was like, and for that one, for Marvel, it was huge because
Yeah.
like the heroes
always won.
never lost.
I know,
so-
they always won.
Yeah, so and the thing about like the X-Men I think is cool is that Magneto is basically the bad guy in like every movie.
Yeah.
And that I think is really well because in this one he's still a good actor.
Oh,
Does a
yeah.
great job. Not a lot to do.
Yeah.
But he doesn't die.
Yeah.
he's in the next movie, then in the next movie. He's in, like, every other movie.
Right.
So I think that's really good, because now it's like he's the central antagonist
Yeah.
of the series. Not just like, oh yeah, it's Red Skull. Now it's Winter Soldier. Now
Yeah.
it's this fucking random guy. Now it's this other random guy. I don't
Yeah, like half the Marvel movies,
Yeah.
you can't keep up with the
Yeah,
villains because there's
exactly.
so many.
Yep.
Which I get. They want to get all the... In Marvel, there is so many villains that they want to try to put them onto the screen and have them have their screen time or whatever. But it takes away from the main story, and it really just takes away for future opportunities where they could have been bigger.
Yep.
But now they're just this little thing that happened, you know.
Yeah.
And one thing, I don't know much because I've only seen a few of them, but I do know Magneto's in it the whole time.
Yeah, he's-
which
Even though sometimes he's played by a different actor.
Right.
Like, most of the time he's Ian McKellen, but then he's played by the younger him. But it's still just
Yeah.
those two. And they both are great actors.
oh yeah, definitely.
So it's like they both are great the entire
Yeah.
time.
It's always a back and forth.
Yep.
That's what keeps it going.
Yeah, exactly.
It could have been better with the,
that's
they could fit it
definitely-
better
yeah.
together better, but
Mhm.
it keeps it. It's a driving force that
Yeah,
keeps it moving.
exactly.
And even though there are other villains, like, Magneto's not, like, always the main villain.
Right.
Like, they always need to have other ones. He's still, like, an antagonist.
Mhm.
And sometimes he flip-flops.
Yeah.
But that's just because he's not, like, truly evil.
Right.
Like,
So one thing I
Yeah.
do like is that a villain can become a hero.
Yep.
In that's one of the greatest things is
Mm-hmm.
that's what I love about like movies when they do it right. If they have a character that can be flipped to a good side for fighting a common good,
Yeah.
it's amazing to
Mhm.
see, because they I set aside their differences
Mm-hmm.
and then fight the bigger evil,
Yep.
even though they hate each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's cool to see them working together, using their powers together.
we could get a lot of that later
Yeah.
on. But I think this one was really good to, like, introduce him.
Yeah.
And, well, not really good, but good casting choice.
Yes,
I'll say
yes,
that. It was a
definitely,
good casting
definitely.
choice. In the next one, he's awesome.
Mhm.
Like, his plan is good. Like, actually has a good plan in the next one. So I feel like Magneto would be more of a threat if the plan in the next movie was in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to tweak some things around,
Yeah.
of course, but the thing is that Magneto's such a good villain, but, like, if this was the only movie he was in, he would suck.
Yeah, definitely,
So, it really hits you with, like, the future knowledge. You need
Yeah.
that future knowledge, or else if this is, like, the only Marvel movie, you'd be like, oh,
no.
It's
I'll
like-
pass.
yeah, exactly. So,
One thing that could have happened, which I'm glad it didn't, with this movie, it could have been a total failure, and then
Yeah.
we wouldn't have gotten all the
Exactly.
Marvel movies we have now,
Mhm.
which they really danced a fine line with that
Yeah,
one, because
exactly.
it wasn't the best movie, but it was an introduction.
Yep.
So they just kind of got a pass on that
Yeah,
one.
and that's the thing. Like, again, even though we've been talking about, like, a lot of bad shit in this movie,
Yeah.
it's still, I respect the hell out of
Oh,
it.
yeah,
because it
definitely.
started all of everything.
Right.
And maybe it wasn't, like, the kickstart, but, like, this led to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
And that,
Best, great
holy
movie.
shit, yeah, and we're talking about that next time, which is like, oh, thank God, good movie. But, yeah, but you know what I mean, where it's like,
Yeah.
if this didn't exist, maybe Spider-Man wouldn't have existed,
Exactly.
and then everything else wouldn't have existed.
Yeah.
So,
I can't remember when that Daredevil movie came out.
2003.
Ooh,
Yeah.
bad movie.
Very,
Bad
very-
movie.
We're not talking about that. Don't
I
we're
know.
not doing that.
Oh.
I don't know if I said it in the beginning, but again, we're talking about, like, all the ones that are, like, in the MCU. So
Yeah.
that's why we're talking about X-Men, because Professor X was in Multiverse of Madness and shit like that.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be talking about the Fantastic Four, though, because those versions of them
Yeah.
weren't in that. So.
Right.
Which they come out sooner.
Yeah.
And hopefully the new
The-
Fantastic Four is
hopefully they do
actually
it.
good,
You know,
because
hopefully
I've
they do it
seen
the
the
right
other
this time.
Fantastic Four ones, and I would rather die than watch those ones again. So.
I watched them once and I was done.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to go back to
No.
those.
But, like, even, like, X-Men movies, I will say, a lot of them are not good. Like, unfortunately, more than half of them aren't
I
good.
think the ones I've watched was this first one. I think I watched First Class.
That one's really good.
I can't remember. Was that the one with in the past?
Yeah.
Okay, then younger actors. Okay, yeah, I watched that one. And then I watched Dark Phoenix.
That one was
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I hate that movie.
Yeah, those are my 3 experiences with
Alright,
the
cool.
X-Men.
You've never seen Days of Future Past?
No, I have not
You're
seen
gonna
that.
love that.
That's my favorite. That's like one of my favorite movies in the whole like
Yeah.
Marvel series. Like it's really good.
Yeah, I know that like down the line X-Men does get really good from what I've seen or heard, but future it's a rocky start
that's
from what I
the-
know.
The problem is with X-Men is that like the first one's the second one's
Yeah.
good, third one is ass, and then Origins is ass, and then like
What's the one with Ryan Reynolds in it?
Origins.
Okay.
That one and
The
yeah.
shitty Deadpool.
Yeah. But it's like there's like a lot that are ass.
Yeah.
And then there were some like fucking fantastic ones.
Mhm.
Like so the problem is that like First Class, really good. I liked it.
Yeah.
And then The Wolverine was good until the end where it sucked. So it's like really good to and then Days of Future Past was fucking amazing, and then Apocalypse was so it's like that's the thing with this series that like it'll go from good
Good to bad.
amazing, dog
Oh.
shit, amazing, dog shit. So it's like
they're not consistent.
they're not consistent at all, and that's what
Fun.
sucks about that's what sucks about these X-Men movies. Because again, for going to like Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
first one really good. The second one, I'm not the biggest fan of
Yeah,
compared to everybody
okay.
else.
Thing is, don't really remember the second
Yeah.
one. The first one, good.
Yeah.
Third one, amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Second one was okay, but it still was good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Hot take. I know everyone always says the third one is not the. I love the third one.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I hate about it is Venom, but we'll get to that later. But like those ones are consistent.
Yeah.
Like the first one's great. The second one, in my opinion, is a dip. For a lot of people, it's like the best comic book movie of all time, which I don't fucking understand. But like even then, like it feels like this, like
Yeah.
it like a wavy line. Like it doesn't really feel because like these X-Men movies,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like.
And one thing going to Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man,
Mhm.
I liked it. You know, I think the reason why I liked it is because Peter seemed more energetic and he was funny. He had good.
Yeah.
He worked well.
Mhm.
I mean, everything around him didn't,
Yeah.
but he worked well.
Yeah.
That's my thing about those
Yeah.
movies. He's a good
Yeah.
He's a good Peter Parker, good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The script is awful for him,
It
so that's
really
why
is.
I didn't.
I mean, with they have good effects.
Yeah.
But they don't use it well.
Yeah.
Like they put their money into effects and not a story.
Yeah.
And that's a problem with like a lot of the Marvel movies we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
A lot of them have really good stories, and then there's
Yeah.
some which have either like mediocre or
Right.
just none at all. And quickly, I'm not gonna talk about too much, but Multiverse of Madness, a lot of style. The story
Oh, yeah.
is awful. I hate the story. I can't deal with the story. It's
Yeah.
too basic and too like plot holy. Like,
Yeah, I think again with what was the last Spider-Man? That's not good. I can't remember the.
No Way Home.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness, they were used to introduce the multiverse, which no, don't do that. I mean, they've been doing this the whole time with Loki and now with Spider-Man and multiverse, but they could have done it better.
I think No Way Home did it a lot better,
Yeah.
but Multiverse of Madness did it really bad.
Right. Because with Spider-Man, they're introducing a different way of bringing in the multiverse where Loki is doing a completely different thing.
Exactly.
They're doing two different things to bring about the multiverse, which they should have just stuck with one because now,
Now it's kind of confusing.
yeah, like
What's going
which
on.
one, what, like, oh, we have the multiverse, it exists now.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I think about it, if they were to say that Loki, like, released the multiverse, and then in Spider-Man, now they know the multiverse exists, so now it works because they're bringing them together, but that's not explained.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
I'm
doesn't.
hoping they explain more with it
Yeah.
because it doesn't really make sense. And again,
Right.
like the reason we're talking about X-Men right now is because Professor X was Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart. So it's
Yeah.
like, so it connects to the X-Men movies,
Yeah.
obviously, but it doesn't.
Right.
And that's what I think is
Wait, they
Something
also
that's
brought
confusing.
in Quicksilver in
Don't
WandaVision.
get me started on that. Oh my god. But yeah, I know where you're
Yeah.
going with. So
Didn't do a good job, but they brought him in.
we'll get into that so much fucking later. But the thing what I think is weird about that is that for Multiverse of Madness, Professor X, it's Patrick Stewart, it's him.
Yeah.
But he's in like the 90s gear, like he's dressed like he was in a 90s TV show, which is confusing, but it's like, okay, so like,
It's not the X-Men
Yeah.
Professor X.
Yeah.
It's the Illuminati Professor X, which I again don't know much about,
Yeah.
but clearly it's different.
Yeah.
But we know now he exists, and it's
Yeah.
the same actor, so we know it's the same.
Somewhat
Same, yeah, some way, yeah,
same
somewhat.
character. So that's why we're talking about X-Men right now, because he was in X-Men, so
Yeah.
it's like, that's why we gotta talk about it. But it doesn't connect to this movie
Right.
or any other movie. So that's what's kind of confusing about like how it is now. Because I remember when like Fox, because again, this movie was made by Fox. If you guys don't know, it was made by Fox. Marvel technically didn't have any part of this, like
Right.
because they sold off. I don't know when, but I think it was like late '80s, early '90s. They sold off the rights to a bunch of their characters because they're going bankrupt.
Good job,
Yeah, I
guys.
know.
Good job.
So they sold off X-Men and Fantastic Four, to Fox, and then they sold
Big
off.
mistake.
Yep, and they sold off Spider-Man to Sony.
Again.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Yeah, I don't know about any of the other characters, but those are like the two major ones. So
Yeah.
this one's made by Fox,
Right.
and the problem like is that like everything's disconnected now.
Yeah.
But once they bought Fox, it's like, okay, they can use the X-Men now. And I
Right.
thought they were just gonna like reboot them, like we're gonna have a brand new Professor X, brand new
Yeah.
characters. But bringing in Evan Peters' Quicksilver, I was like, oh, so are they gonna bring in everyone else? And then when they brought in Patrick Stewart, I was like, oh, they're really bringing in everybody. Okay, cool.
Which I much prefer,
Me too.
because I don't want them to do a full reboot, because
neither.
then it takes away a whole thing.
Yep.
It just makes it like, oh, that means nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm glad they brought that in, because it worked somewhat in the past.
Yeah.
But now they can make it better.
Yeah,
Like, they
exactly.
can work with it.
But that's what I'm kind of concerned about too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so if they brought back him, it's bad. I think it's good, but it's bad because Patrick Stewart's old, Ian McKellen's old.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. So it's like you can't just
Yeah.
bring him back right away, and then spoilers again, they kill him in Multiverse of Madness. So it's like, he's getting old. Don't kill him off in the movie yet, bro. So, like, what I hate is that, like, oh, if they bring the him back, then I'm gonna have to bring everybody else back. Like,
Right.
and I think that's a big problem that they have now, because even though in this movie Hugh Jackman wasn't the greatest, he gets
Yeah.
fucking fantastic throughout the
Oh,
series.
yeah.
Even like the shitty ones, he's still awesome. Like everyone basically watches X-Men for Wolverine.
Yeah.
So now if they recast Wolverine,
Ooh,
everyone's gonna be like, "You're a fucking idiot. What's wrong with you? You recast Patrick Stewart." But
Yeah.
so I think that's a giant issue.
Yeah, because didn't Hugh Jackman retire? That was his thing.
I think so.
Yeah. Bad timing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like I think that sucks because like
That's why they bought. That's why they sold it, because
I know.
they took away the main selling point.
Exactly. So
that's what I think is bad. Because like because if they didn't bring in Evan Peters or if they didn't bring in Patrick Stewart, they could have rebooted the X-Men, and I
Yeah.
would have been sad, but I would have been okay with it.
Right.
But now that they brought back the old people, I'm like, fuck. That means you have to bring back the other ones now. Everyone's gonna get really mad.
Yeah.
Me included. So
Yeah.
it's like even though this movie isn't the greatest and 2's good and everyone else is like like I still would like a second chance with these guys.
Yeah. One thing that I think that they could do is not bring in this X-Men timeline, because it's already
It gets
finished.
rebooted anyway. So
Yeah.
like after like Days of Future Past, all this basically gets wiped away and started clean.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
technically, there's two. We'll get to that, but there's two timelines in X-Men. And
Which
but-
is weird, because now they have to work around the multiverse thing with that.
I know. So that's why I'm kind of confused, because I'm like, okay, they can bring in it from that end of that timeline,
Yeah.
but that timeline had younger people because
Yeah.
they were younger. So if they had to bring them back, they'd have to be these cast of characters in this movie,
Right.
because they're older. And all these guys, I think, could work really well together. In this movie, they don't. But if they needed to, because Marvel does have a lot of good writers.
Oh,
like
yeah,
some of their
definitely.
movies are not good, but most of the
Eternals.
oh my god, yeah, but most of the Marvel movies, like, I really really like.
Yeah.
There are only a few of the movies that I think are dog shit, and really, like, only Eternals and Captain Marvel are the only ones that like I would be hating to watch again.
One thing I think with Captain Marvel is I feel like it's just not just the actor that I don't like, but I kinda did when I first watched it. I didn't go like full deep into criticism,
neither.
but I did like the idea of it.
Yeah, me too.
Because it was a new concept, and it was, from my opinion, young Nick Fury was funny.
He was. I still really like him in the movie. So.
Yeah, it was a good movie, but the actress is not my favorite. I do not like her whatsoever. Which
we'll get to that more later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the problem is that, like, I would really like to see this team again.
Definitely.
Is it ever gonna happen? I don't know.
in my opinion, I don't think so, because if they introduced it and then Patrick Stewart, he's way too old now.
And
He's
Ian McKellen, he's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
old too.
Yeah,
So it's like they
definitely.
can't be as agile as they used to be. Like, Professor X
Like-
is better because he just sits in a chair the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be fine. But Ian McKellen's like,
Yeah,
and
he's.
Magneto's like the main bad
Bad
guy
guy,
of
yeah.
X-Men. So if you recast him, it's like
Right.
you've had this whole history with
Yeah,
this guy.
exactly. So it's like, and I
Yeah.
mean, I would be totally fine if they brought in Michael Fassbender, who
Oh,
plays
yeah.
the younger version of him.
If they brought in the younger
Yeah, then
versions,
that would be
you're-
great.
You're golden.
Honestly, and that's why, like, I was kind of like, I mean, it's cool that they brought in Patrick Stewart because I do think he does a
Yeah.
better job than James McAvoy ever does. But I still really like James McAvoy. But it's like, so if you brought in Patrick Stewart,
Yeah.
then you might have to bring in all the other ones.
Right.
And the
Well-
new cast, I don't really like. Besides not Ian McKellen. Besides James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. Those are the
Yeah.
only two, like, and besides Quicksilver. I love.
Yeah.
The other ones, no. So, but for these ones, I liked them all
Mhm.
as actors. In the movie, they weren't
Yeah.
good. But I feel like if they brought that cast back, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
it would be...
Yeah, one thing I think they did with Professor X in Multiverse of Madness was they brought him in solo, and then he died, and then this timeline isn't... They don't really go back to it.
Yep.
It's kind of a one-off thing with his timeline, and I mean, it's not the main X-Men universe,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they have a whole different thing. So he's allowed to exist there without
Yeah.
all the others existing.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay. But if they do bring him back in, like, main Avengers timeline things, it won't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then they'll have to kill him off, and then you can't bring in the other one because you've already made this
That's
made
what
this
I'm
timeline.
saying.
So it makes sense for Multiverse of Madness to bring in Patrick Stewart if you're just going to kill him off anyway, I
Right.
guess. But if they ever do, like, bring in Hugh Jackman for, like, the main
Right.
series, or they bring in, like, all the other actors in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
you have to, like, you really can't do Patrick Stewart because he
Right.
can't be Professor X for long term anymore.
Right.
Is Wolverine in the younger version?
Yeah, he always looks.
okay.
He always looks the same. So
Okay.
because it
Right.
was always Hugh Jackman.
Right. So
Okay, so that they can bring him back, but I don't think they will because he's retired.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm super hyped for Deadpool 3.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad they're keeping that. Like,
I
that's
know.
cool.
I love.
One of my favorite superheroes is Deadpool.
And he's an X-Men. So
Yeah,
yeah.
woo! But one thing that I hope they don't make, canon is the shitty Deadpool with the fucking katana hand.
Technically, that is canon. So,
No.
I'll explain it. So, the timeline one is when the
Mhm.
shitty one, but then when
Yeah.
the timeline reset,
Yeah.
it made the Deadpool that you like. So,
Yeah.
so
Good.
that's why. So technically, it's canon, but it's really not.
Technically.
Yeah.
It's not that timeline. So
Yeah.
so we'll push that aside.
Yeah.
We'll push that
So-
aside.
Yeah, X-Men, I really... it's hard. Like, these people, I don't know if I'll ever see them again
Right.
after, like, these movies. Would I like to? Yes. But the only one I'd really, really, really like to see again is this Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Everyone else, like, they could recast and I'd be okay with it.
But
But you can't really do that.
Can't recast Wolverine because
Yeah.
he's been Wolverine this whole
Yeah, and
time.
if anyone else played Wolverine, everyone would have a fit.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
wouldn't
like-
be right. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
right. It would just it wouldn't feel.
Yeah.
It just feels bad, you know.
And like the different thing about like the Spider-Man, we've had like 3 Spider-Man.
I know.
But like the thing is that it didn't.
Right.
They didn't. They weren't around for that long.
Right.
Like Tobey
One,
Maguire-
one thing about Spider-Man is that there's an infinite amount of Spider-Man.
Yeah, and
so
we've learned that.
yeah,
for a long time,
yeah.
so-
With him, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
But with Wolverine, it
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't.
He's, from what I know, he's the only Wolverine.
He
So-
is like.
in all the other series, the only time he's with a different actor is when he's like a kid.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like when he's like younger him, it's like no, it's always Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
So like you can never really replace
Yeah,
him.
you
I don't.
can't- If you have this movie series that's been going on for a long time, and with a timeline reset, and he's still him,
Yeah, that's the
you
thing.
can't
It's
change.
like that's
You
what
can't
sucks.
change it now.
Yep.
So like if they bring him back, which I think they should, but if they ever recast him, everyone would be really mad.
Yeah.
So it's like
I mean-
me included. So it's like you can't really do
Yeah,
that.
I'm so, like I scroll through the news and I'm like see like concepts for actors as Wolverine. I'm like
Yeah, every single one
They
I see,
look-
I'm like,
they look okay, but I mean
He's
don't
not-
do
they're
it.
not Wolverine,
That,
yeah.
that's not Wolverine.
yeah.
And from what I've seen, the internet, well, some parts of the internet want a different Wolverine,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't feel right. I mean, it wouldn't work the same because we've had him for this long. It's
Yeah,
just gonna
exactly.
feel like not Wolverine.
Yeah.
Because like we know Hugh Jackman, Wolverine.
Mhm.
That's what we think of.
Yeah.
Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. That's what we think of. But if you were to change it up, it's gonna be some different actor who acts completely different,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna be the same. It's not gonna feel the same.
Yeah, exactly. And again, going back to the Spider-Mans, Tobey Maguire was in 3 movies. Andrew Garfield was in 2.
Yeah.
Tom Holland was in a little bit more because of Avengers, but
Yeah.
he still only had 3 movies.
Mhm.
I would be ticked off if they recast Tom Holland now because that's really dumb. But like, it made sense for them because it's
Mhm.
like, oh, like they had their time.
Yeah.
They're good to go. But Hugh Jackman has, I think, except for like 2, he's in every movie.
Mm.
Like every movie he's
Yeah.
in. So, it's like, oh, he's been in, and there's like 11, 12 movies in this series, I
Really?
think. So, if you recast, that'd be like recasting Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't
You can't
do that.
It doesn't. It doesn't
yeah,
work.
exactly. So and I've seen all these people like, oh yeah, Anthony Starr would be a good Wolverine. I'm like, no, he wouldn't. Number
No.
one, and then Daniel Radcliffe would be a good Wolverine. And I'm like,
I mean, he looks like Wolverine, but no,
no,
no.
I mean, he's like, he looks like me, bro.
It's Harry Potter. What
Yeah,
you mean?
I know.
So I'm like, no, I don't think so. And I see all these other ones. I'm just like,
No.
no matter what you do,
It's-
it's not gonna be Wolverine.
Right.
And I think the only way they'd be able to kind of get me on board if they have like a brand new actor like no
Mm.
one's ever seen
Oh
before.
yeah, that could work.
Then I could
I mean,
kind of
if
get.
they reset everyone in X-Men,
Yeah, exactly.
if they recast all of X-Men and brought in a completely new cast,
Yeah.
I guess that would work.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you're putting aside what you already know,
Mhm.
and then they're having a fresh start.
Yep.
Which, not my favorite, and plus, I don't think they're gonna do that because they've already introduced some of the cast.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be my first choice, but with how, like, contracts work and how, old people are, it would be their best option, but I think they trapped themselves by putting
Definitely.
the characters in there.
Mhm.
But
I mean,
We'll see what they do in
Yeah.
the future. We don't know yet, but I'm just hoping that they find a way to make it good
Yeah.
because I'm really worried about it now. Because I didn't expect like the multiverse to be a thing.
no,
So when they announced, like when Disney bought Fox a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're just gonna reboot X-Men, and I
Mhm.
was like, fuck, I don't want them to. But I kind of like, okay, that makes sense. But when they started doing the multiverse thing and bringing them in, I was like, that's a cool concept, but you kind of fucked yourself over
Yeah.
doing that. So
Yeah.
it's like,
yeah, they didn't do it right. And if
No.
I definitely would not want them to reboot it because then Deadpool's gone.
Yeah.
I don't want Deadpool to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it doesn't. Yeah, they definitely trap themselves. I mean, we'll see how they do it I mean, they have great writers over there, so
Yeah.
hopefully they can figure something out. But I don't want them to.
hopefully
They don't turn it into a TV show.
Oh,
I would be so pissed if they turned it into a
X-Men
TV
TV
show. I
show.
would cry.
They just all die at
please.
the end.
They probably would. 6 episodes. Like, no!
6 episodes, they die,
yeah,
and then
it's
we
like,
move
God
on.
damn it, yeah.
Great, you
Ah.
you bought these characters just to kill them.
That's how I felt
Great.
about when they brought Professor X and Quicksilver in. It's like, oh yeah, we're here.
Bye.
It's
Go away.
Like, fuck. Damn it. So I don't know, but I'm hoping what I would have liked is that they brought in like this cast earlier
Yeah.
and then had them do something, or the future, not the future cast, but like the past cast. I guess I don't know how to describe it. Like the younger versions
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah. That I don't like the younger versions that
Mm.
well, but that would have fit better. I
Yeah.
think. So I don't know.
I don't have much experience. I watched First Class, which was my first introduction to them.
Mm-hmm.
Not my favorite.
Those guys aren't really in the movies. There's only 2 of them that
Oh,
continue
good.
showing
Good,
up. So
The thing I didn't like is Professor X in that movie, because he didn't feel like
Yeah.
the Professor X we had just watched.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think that's pretty much it for
Yeah.
X-Men.
I mean, we pulled an hour out of
Yeah.
it, out of
Yeah.
a hour and 45-minute movie.
Yeah,
So
And most of I wasn't even talking about X-Men.
Exactly.
So yeah. So yes, that was the first X-Men. How our thoughts about it? What would you give it out of 10?
oh boy. I mean, I've got to give it points for it being the first one, because you can't make it perfect on the first one. So I'm gonna say 6 out of 10. I mean, not the best movie, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, without it being the first one, if it wasn't the first one, definitely
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
like 4 or 5, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But with it being the first, they're like dipping their toes in the water.
Yeah,
So
you can't judge it too
no,
harshly.
you can't.
So,
So I say 6 out of 10. I mean, first one. So
yeah.
I'll give it like a 5.
Yeah.
I'd say, because again, it's not perfect, but
Right.
I can't judge against the first one.
Right.
Like if they made it today, then I'd be like,
This
what
is
the fuck
trash,
is this?
but-
Yeah, it's like Morbius today. It's like we're, like I'm sorry, Morbius feels like an early 2000s movie,
It
doesn't it?
does, it
So
does.
it's like, but this one I can't judge it too harshly.
No.
But so yeah, that was the first one. X-Men came out in the 2000s, and so we're gonna be doing these in like order of release,
Yeah.
pretty much, like
Yeah.
not like timeline. Because if it was timeline, we'd start with like Captain America, and that'll just be too confusing. So it's like we're just gonna do like the order of release. So
Yeah.
X-Men's the first one, and next time we're not doing X-Men 2, we're doing the one that
No.
came after, which is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and I'm really happy because that one's
definitely.
good, and I like that
Yeah.
one. So
when that come out?
2002,
Oh, okay.
I think, and X2 came out in 2003. So
Oh, okay.
so I think we're gonna do like X-Men 1, Spider-Man, X-Men 2, Spider-Man 2, X-Men 3, Spider-Man 3, something like that. But yeah, so next one's Spider-Man.
Yep.
That one's gonna be great because that one's really
Yes, of course.
good. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that next. Thank you for listening to this. I hope you guys are still here watching. Probably not, I doubt it, but thank you very much for watching. This was a lot of fun
yes,
to do,
yes, it was.
and it based off how much fun this was, I'm assuming we're gonna have a lot of fun with the later
Yes.
one. So it'll be
Yep.
good. So thank you guys very much.
Yep.
Thank you, Ethan, for being
Of
here.
course.
Of course. I love to shed my brain with all the peoples, even though there's not much to share.
So, yeah, so this
It was fun. So thank you very much for watching, and tune in whenever we do this again. Probably like a week to week
Yeah.
maybe thing.
yes.
And so hopefully next week, I don't know when I'm gonna put this up, but
Right.
hopefully when you're watching this next week, we'll go into the first Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
So I hope to see you guys there. So, all right, bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.